questions here? Yes?
Is a copy editor similar to a proofreader?
Oh, yeah, we didn't get to that point. Well, the copy editor, they work with the actual manuscript and they mark it up. Then it goes to the typesetter and they typeset the book, compositor. I'm not quite, that kind of magically happens from the production department. I really am not involved in it. Then we get back the original copy of the manuscript and what are called the galleys, the page typeset page proofs. And what the proofreader does is they get the copy edit and the page proofs, and they go through and compare. In theory, they're comparing letter by letter, but they're comparing, you know, the copy edit with the page proofs, making sure that all the changes that have been marked in the copy edit are actually showing up in the page proofs, and looking at grammar and spelling and all that, trying to catch everything. And then, you know, at the same time that's happening, the author also has a set of these page proofs and is proofreading. So we have at least 2 sets of eyes. And in certain cases, we'll actually hire, at the next stage, we'll actually hire another proofreader who does a blind read or a cold read where they don't compare it back to the manuscript, they just read it. But I don't know if everyone heard about the Pasta Bible from Penguin, Australia?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This happened recently, and Penguin, Australia put out a cookbook called the Pasta Bible, and some proofreaders and everyone along the line missed something. And it said, you know, you're supposed to add salt and finely ground black pepper. And the book actually said, add salt and finely ground black people. There's like 7,000 they had to destroy. And anyone who had bought a copy, they're saying we can either refund it or give you a new one. And of course, you know, that's the sort of stuff that just kind of gets through.
Yeah.
You know, because it was apparently it was in the list of ingredients.
People.
Yeah. And that's the sort of thing that a proofreader, you know, it's very easy to slip by.
Yeah, because it's not a spell.
Yeah, it's got peas in it. It's got
Yeah.
Soylent Green.
That's story to serve man.
Yeah.
Well, the submission guidelines, they really almost act like nobody else is going to read this thing, and it better be perfect when we get it.
Well, the way I look at it is,
I mean, you want to do your best. Yeah.
you're sending me, well, I look at it this way. If I get something that I think is interesting, but it's not quite there, I kind of run into the assumption that you're sending me your best work. And if I can help you polish it, that's great. But if it's light years from where it needs to be, it makes me think, you know, can they do that? So you really do
you
want to
just can't believe, just like the example that you just gave, what you overlook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you read it 1,000 times.
Well, I've taken, you know, proofreading classes and copying classes, and I've done that. And they say, you know, stuff like an ingredients list or a headline or captions.
The bigger it is, the harder.
Those are the things you have to like go through and specifically, because it'll be there staring right at it and you'll miss it.
Years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was a copy editor at John Wiley & Sons, which, amazingly enough, is still alive. I mean, publishers come and go like mayflies, but they've been around since, I think, 1830. And it was in the early days of computers, and here's chapter 6, computer stimulation. It actually got into proof with many snide comments in the production department.
You look in your program books, on the cover of Towers of Midnight, there's a proofreading error.
Yes, is there?
Yeah.
Cover?
Yeah, but that's just a quick mock-up. But Gathering Storm is spelled wrong.
Yes, yes.
It's the Gathering Storm.
And there's that too.
Oh my God!
Where's
There's one with the gator in the storm?
The Gathering Storm?
Yeah. Well, also,
Actually, it's catering.
Is it catering?
No. I wish.
And I prefer that. And that's, like I said, that's the sort of thing that all the other texts I looked at very closely. Now, my
There's
favorite,
one in the Warbreaker ad, too.
the
Is
Warbreaker
there?
ad.
Look in the orange.
Because I sent it off to Brandon, and I said, he said, maybe we should put something that says that there's a teaser chapter of The Way of Kings in it.
Oh.
And I went to the designer, and I said, please add this, and she did. but designers don't proofread.
Designers don't read, they're like cover artists. Only horror we can find.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the beginning, it better not be the peak. So.
Do we have more questions?
So you're submitting to an editor. What are the biggest pet peeves? What are like your top 5 or whatever the biggest pet peeves you have?
I have a good one because we do a lot of thrillers. I'm not a big thriller fan, but I do get the thriller mystery submissions. And this is maybe a more personal pet peeve because I majored in Arabic in college. So when in a thriller when the bad guys are the generic Arabs, and that's basically all they are, and there's no reasoning, that kills me. I hate that. Yeah, so.
I hate being oversold. I did hate being oversold in a query letter. And in the early days of Tor, we were doing lots of horror novels because the nation's booksellers hadn't figured out that there was a difference between Stephen King and genre horror. Yeah, so we'll do genre horror and get books out there. And I got a letter in one day and it said, "Dear Miss McDougal, I have written a truly horrifying novel." And I was tired, but I just said to myself, "I bet you have, honey." And I wrote, "No." On it. And I imagine people are feeling like that about their teen vampire submissions. Just, the agent she was talking about last hour with, what was it, 35,000 submissions a year, out of which she asked for 55 manuscripts, queries on the line, and of which 6 people became her.
Are you sure water is not easier?
Yeah.
Well, I could just see this agent stomping through her office and saying to the intern and the secretary, "No teen vampires, hear me? None, none."
I mean, as far as pet peeves, getting sent books that, I do have a really good slush submission story. I'll save that to the end.
The Mary Fawcett Jewel?
No, actually, it kind of ties in with the cookbook, actually.
Okay.
Getting submitted stuff, poetry books, stuff that we just don't do. And when someone, she talked about this in the last panel too, is starting the story in the wrong place. You really do gotta hook me as an editor, but even you guys as a reader. You pick up the book and you look at the first couple pages, and that's what you use essentially to decide what to buy the book. So it's the same sort of thing. And people are like, "Oh, you only read 2 pages." I'm like, "Yeah, but I can tell in 2 pages if it doesn't keep me reading, I got that much more to look at." And but my slush submission story is really great. So slush is unsolicited manuscripts that basically come in to your editor, and we will all get together in the conference room and look at them.
And they don't have agents.
Yeah,
which is the big distinguishing mark.
And it was written by someone in prison. We get a lot of prison mail. And Jim gets a lot of prison mail.
Yeah, and so do, lots of mail. "Dear Mr. Jordan, I love your books and I'm incarcerated in McDougal." And they're never guilty, and they tell you.
Yeah.
Please send me free ones?
Huh?
Please
Yes.
send me free ones?
They want free ones because they're not allowed to have any money. Excuse me? So they don't get them.
Yeah,
But they're kind of wonderful. They go on and on about none of them are guilty. The miscarriages of justice in this country are sweeping. So anyway, go on the side.
Basically, it was a book. It was a full manuscript of a book written by someone in prison who is not. All the reasons he was not guilty and all the stuff that people did to frame him, and I was just like, this is odd, and so I basically one of the reasons he was not guilty is because they never found the body of this child that he killed. And I actually went and I was like, what? So I Googled him. They never found the body because he ate it.
You didn't buy his book, I bet.
He got a very nice polite rejection. But unfortunately, the only person's name who was on the rejection was actually Tom Doherty, so he was on the station.
Yeah.
So,
Gosh.
yeah.
What did it do with the bones?
I have no idea. I was just one of those.
Say furniture.
Sounds like we should have picked that book.
Yeah, how are we on time? There more questions? Okay. Oh, well, we got plenty of time.
Did you ever have any really weirdly packaged submissions or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Human skin.
The bones.
That one was. You know, people sometimes will ask, oh, my fantasy has maps. Should I get the maps drawn or draw them and send them in? Please no. Those are the sorts of things that get passed around the office. It's like, look at this really bad art. And also, someone asked me, oh, should I hire an actual artist to do that?
To do the cover.
Yeah, or even maps or anything. And I basically said, don't do that, because if we buy the book, most cases, that's part of our production costs. We pay for that. We hire the artists. So but we need to know we have the specs that we need. And so pictures of cats, weird stationery. This lovely cover letter that was on the stationery with a gigantic rainbow. But I read the book was actually about the government, releasing viruses to create zombies. I'm like,
Have a lovely day. Here's my story about a zombie.
yeah, pretty much. So,
I used to work with a wonderful editor of YA books named Jean Vestal, who is no longer in the building. But she said, I can always tell when it's a letter from a first grade teacher, and she threw one over to me and it said, Dear Jean Vestal, I have written a book. It is a picture book. It is about a dog and a cat. I said, yeah, I see exactly what you mean.
let's see, what was I going to say? We do get a lot. Actually, we get a lot of slush. We get a lot of unsolicited submissions. And to be honest, we do get together and read them, and we look at them and respond. And a lot of times it's the interns who are doing that. They're basically looking for something that they think is good, and then they can pass it to us. Over the 30 years of tour, today's tour's birthday. Today's tour's 30th birthday. We published our first book today. It came out today, 30 years ago.
Forerunner by Andre Norton.
So, what was I saying?
Slush.
Oh, yeah.
Slush parties.
We look at those, and over the history of tour, there's only a handful. We get thousands of submissions that way, and there's only a handful that we've published from the
How
slush.
many would you say you get a month?
It goes in a different office. I don't even see it. It's thousands. And we don't. Do we take electronic submissions, slush submissions that way?
I don't
think the slush is.
I don't think so. So we get paper submissions. It's just electronic submissions. I think they just kind of disappear.
Do I count as from the slush? Because I met Moshe at a convention and said, "Can I send to you?" and then sent to him. So
I wouldn't
you wouldn't count
count
that as slush.
No.
If I meet someone at a convention, if I meet someone here and they talk, they send it as they send it to me. It's more dear editor.
Right.
Yeah.
It's those are the more, and also there are things we call slush agents. These agents who are, not real agents. They just send stuff out. And a real agent is someone who's actually been selling books. Who, if they have a project, they'll actually either email me or call me on the phone and say, "Hey, I have this thing, and I think it'd be great for you."
And they're exercising some judgment.
Right. I thought of you because X, and then those are very nice.